Alright, so this is something new. I'm calling it the hot take. Basically, I started this channel 4 months ago. I'm having a blast with it, but I'm also finding that I just don't have enough time to talk about the new movies that I see every single month. So, here we are. What I'm gonna do is near the end of the month, I'm gonna go ahead and give you incredibly brief reviews of everything I saw that month. If I say something about a movie that intrigues you, please leave it in the comments. If I get enough interest, I'll go ahead and create another video specifically for that movie. And fair warning, since I just came up with this idea, I'm gonna go ahead and do December's and January's in one video. That means this is gonna be a little bit longer than normal. So without further ado, let's get going. First up, Jumanji, The Next Level. Here's my gut on this one. If you like the first Jumanji, this is a fine sequel. It doesn't do that thing that sequels do where they feel the need to ante up on everything. Instead, this one is more of the same. And it's right on par with the last one. I don't think that this is masterclass cinema, but if you liked the first one, you'll probably like this one. It takes the same formula, changes up some of the variables, literally, and overall, it's firmly in the meh zone. Not necessarily smart, not necessarily super fun, it's just pretty fine. Next up, Star Wars: Rise of the Skywalker. Guys, I haven't shown this card on this channel yet, but I'm a huge Star Wars nerd. I'm gonna say it though, the fandom of Star Wars has really soured the franchise for me. I think I can decently defend The Last Jedi was not as terrible as everyone made it out to be. As such, Rise of the Skywalker was overall a great Star Wars movie. Where The Last Jedi aimed to subvert expectations, Rise of the Skywalker aimed to restore and set a new path forward for the franchise. I've seen love and hate for this movie online. I'm gonna put this in the plenty of fun and kind of smart quadrant. The last 30 minutes or so, I had chills.
Woo! Oh, chills. Literal chills.
Super fan service, don't even care. I'm a fan, I enjoyed it. Moving on, Uncut Gems. Adam Sandler in a dramatic role is a dangerous thing to me. I'm not a fan of Adam Sandler in general. No offense to the guy. His general 90s humor just isn't my thing anymore. But I am super impressed with the acting chops he showed in this movie. This film is like a train wreck that's happening in crazy slow motion. Like the slow-mo guys are filming it or something, and it takes 2 hours and 15 minutes to actually see what happens. It's hard to watch at times, but only because the story depicts a man who's washing his life down the drain time and time again. It's engaging enough, it's super well done. I put this in the smart, but also not very fun quadrant. Hey, we're in January now. So the first movie I watched in January is 1917, and holy crap folks, if you haven't seen this movie, go to the theater. Preferably an IMAX theater if possible. I was captivated throughout this entire movie. I walked into this movie only knowing that it was about World War I and that there was a long take gimmick to it. But I will say I was pleasantly surprised by this movie. The sheer amount of planning and coordination required to pull this movie off had to be insane. I will say that this kind of took me out of the experience just a bit because I found myself looking at the techniques of how they made the film rather than actually engaging in the movie itself. I would love to watch the making of this movie. I'll also praise the cinematography, not just for the unbroken shots, but for some of the most awe-inspiring moments in my recent cinema experience. Right now, I'm putting this movie as my favorite movie of 2020. It's the one to beat. It's squarely in the fun and smart quadrant. Alright, moving on. I have a Netflix pick here, The Marriage Story. It popped up on Netflix. I saw Kylo Ren and Black Widow in a movie together, so my wife and I started it up one night, not really knowing what we were getting into. And this movie left me with such ambivalence. I was very happy to have seen it, because it was incredibly well done. The acting, the directing, and writing were simply incredible. The movie seemed to be going for this realness factor that depicted the nuance of these situations, opting not to show one individual as a good or bad guy, but rather to see two hurt people in a situation that keeps getting more complicated as time goes on. I'm gonna put this movie in the smart and not so fun quadrant. Smart movies are the ones that give me a hangover, and not that kind of hangover, the kind of hangover where I'm still thinking about it days later. This movie also came with this emotional punch. It's not gonna be for everybody, but I did enjoy it. And one more home viewing while I'm at it, The Art of Self-Defense, which also came out last summer. I really wanted to see it, but I just couldn't make it to the theater. Well, this one popped up on Hulu last week while I was nursing a cold, and I really enjoyed this movie. It's a dark comedy, it's very surreal. I know it's not for everybody. I can't tell if what we were seeing was just being construed from the point of view of the neurotic Jesse Eisenberg character, or if this was just some awkwardly intense version of the world. I won't say that I was side-splitting with laughter throughout the entire movie. There were lines in this movie that made me laugh so hard. And I mean, I was in a meeting the next day giggling because I remembered something from the movie. I enjoyed it. I'm gonna put it in the kind of fun, kind of smart quadrant. Alright, and last but not least, Little Women. Honestly, I haven't read or seen any previous iteration of this story, and I have to say, I really liked this movie. Given that it's a drama, and I'm definitely not the target demographic for this sort of film, in spite of that, I was super engaged the entire time. Most dramas for me hit this point in the story during the third act where I'm just kind of wondering how much longer I'm gonna have to wait until this movie goes somewhere. Even Marriage Story had that point for me. It's not the case here. This is an excellently crafted movie. From the time-hopping story, to the directing, to the acting, to the cinematography, overall, this is going in the pretty smart and pretty fun quadrant. I was not disappointed that we chose this movie. Alright, what am I looking forward to watching next month? And before I get there, keep in mind I avoid every trailer and every online discussion about movies, so take it for what it's worth. Birds of Prey's coming out, it's a comic book movie, so I pretty much have to go, and even though I tend to play apologist for a lot of movies that the internet hates, Suicide Squad was as bad as what everyone says, and I'm not sure what to expect with this movie, but I will definitely go see it. I am looking forward to the Sonic the Hedgehog movie though. I did watch the trailer for this one. Everyone got so bent out of shape at Sonic's look when the first teaser trailer came out, I had to watch it. But I'm pretty sure this was all just a publicity stunt. Regardless, I didn't care what Sonic looked like at all. I was in awe looking at the return of the 90s-esque Jim Carrey. Ace Ventura, Dumb and Dumber, The Mask, Liar Liar, these were my movies when I was a kid. So I'm pretty stoked to see Jim Carrey returning to something more slapsticky. And one last movie, I saw the poster for the Harrison Ford movie, Call of the Wild. It looks fine based on the poster. I'll probably end up seeing that. It does make me think that if he can pull off the action required for that role, he could definitely pull off another Indiana Jones movie. But I'm not really sure we're ever going to get to see that. Okay, and that's it for Hot Takes. Like I said earlier, if you want to hear more, please leave it in the comments. If I get enough interest, I'll make a longer video about that. Also, leave a comment for any of the movies I did a hot take on. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.